Alright, y'all, today we're going to be talking about the Black Knight satellite. Have you heard of it? And yes, I got my Tar Heels hat on because we have a game tonight and I'm a Tar Heel fan. If you're a new subscriber, thank you. Tap in. Let me know what y'all think about this video.
Yeah. You tuned in to the official. It's that SilverKeys vibe, let it ride slow. For the late nights with the lights low. If you feeling the sound, hit the light. Subscribe, comment, share, do it right. Keep it locked for the soul.
Dark side of the moon. Some people actually believe that the moon is fake and it's some type of construct or base that's watching us and what we do on Earth. Let me know what y'all think.
At the center of this image is one of the most mysterious objects in the universe. It's called Oumuamua, and it's the first known object to visit us from a different star system, making it the most alien thing we've ever encountered. First discovered in 2017 as it was flying through our solar system, it's about the size of the Empire State Building and made of rock and metal, with a surface that has been reddened by cosmic radiation over hundreds of millions of years. Its brightness fluctuates dramatically, which has led scientists to believe it's about 10 times longer than it is wide, which was previously unheard of. Oumuamua continued on its path and left our solar system in 2019, and because it's moving so fast, it will never return. And interestingly, because space is so enormous and so empty, it will likely never come this close to any star ever again, at least not for about 100 trillion years, some 10,000 times the current age of the universe. Follow for more.
It's artificial, self-luminous, moves all over the damn place, and apparently it's a construct. I mean, it's a vehicle of some kind, but it's the size of our moon. Norman worked for NASA before it was even NASA. That's how long he'd been in the program. And he said that in the late 70s, American astronomers had discovered that there was something strange going on in Saturn. They had detected some anomalies going on in the rings of Saturn. So they had been putting together this little spacecraft called Voyager 1, which is still out there somewhere. And I think Voyager 1 was the one that carried the little gold disc with the message to those guys out there. And I imagine they thought that was rather humorous. But as Voyager 1 was going out, NASA directed it through the rings of Saturn, near the rings of Saturn, to take a series of photographs. I don't think they quite realized what they were going to get. Well, they got this one. Here's one of the rings here. And this baby is about the size of our moon. Now, this is the other. Now, Norman kept thinking that eventually NASA was going to release this material. And he waited and waited and waited, and they didn't. So Norman retired, took a few of those photographs with him and wrote a book about it. And he tried to get it published in the United States, and nobody would touch it. No American publisher would even get near it. So old Berggren goes off to Scotland, I think Aberdeen. He was able to get a publisher who published his book called The Ringmakers of Saturn. And Norman was convinced, as a bunch of other guys in NASA, that these guys out there were making the rings. And I said, you know, maybe they are, but have you stopped to realize that maybe they're mining the rings? Well, anyhow, this is one of the rings here. But what is this? That, according to NASA and Norman Berggren, is what they call an electromagnetic vehicle. It's a construct, it's an artificially constructed vehicle, and that baby is 2,000 miles long. Now, another piece of the puzzle that our government doesn't want you to know, because they don't know how to tell you. They don't think you could deal with it. They think the idea, if you had to confront the fact that there's a technology in our midst that can do that, how would they explain that?
If the government gave us full disclosure about everything that's being kept from the public or, you know, us, the people, how would y'all act? If the government gave us full disclosure right now, how would y'all feel about that? And the gold disc that this guy mentioned in the beginning of this video, so apparently, you know, the people that sent that space shuttle, you know, the Voyager 1, they put 2 gold discs up there like vinyl and have like different languages, like 50 different languages and songs from like here on Earth for whoever find it. But what I want to know is, why would they even send those gold discs with that shuttle? Like, who do they expect to find it? You know? So that's just something to think about. But let's tap back in.
I mean, here we are with these little capsules and this little shuttle. Shuttle has, what, 7 guys on board? We managed to murder about 14 of them over the last few years. The capsules, the shuttles, and you look at them, and you look at something like that, well, I can understand why the powers that be, the authorities, don't want you to know, because they don't know how to tell you. They think that if you had to confront a reality that there is a technology in our midst that can do that you couldn't handle it.
At this point, I think we all can handle it. He's saying they don't know how to tell us, but just tell us. Like, at this point, it's not a lot of conspiracies out there no more, because a lot of these conspiracies are turning out to have some type of evidence or legitimacy to it. So just tell us. Hell, can't get no worse.
Well, I disagree. I think you can handle it.
So while perusing various UFO forums and subreddits, I found 3 separate videos that seem to show the same type of craft. Now, this first video, taken in Denver, Colorado, shows the object stationary in the sky. So one of the biggest ways that people are debunking this video is saying that these are Mylar balloons floating in the sky, which if you look at Mylar balloons, they do look like that. However, we know that Mylar balloons would be floating up and would not be stationary, at least as long as these objects seem to be. Now here's video 2. It's not as long of a clip, but it was taken somewhere in Eastern Europe or Russia, I believe, based on the lettering of the sign that you see in the video. Now again, we see this object stationary in the sky. Another strange occurrence. That leads us to the third and shortest video. Just another stationary object in the sky. Now I'm not going to get too far into it, but these objects look like they could be some sort of craft similar to the Black Knight satellite. Maybe I'll cover that in a later video, but for now, what do you think?
Yeah, what do y'all think about those objects in the sky? Let me know. Let me know in the comments.
Let me know in the comments below.
The Black Knight satellite is this object that is actually orbiting the Earth right now. What's interesting is the mainstream knew it was there for a very, very long time. They're trying to say it was a space blanket.
What's a space blanket?
Inside of the ISS, there's this area where you have these trunnion pins, and you have this kind of a heat protection blanket that goes on 2 trunnion pins. It's about, from me to you, and about maybe this wide. They're trying to say that that thing floating through space is that. We actually do a comparison, and so this is an object that they estimated one time on NASA at 15 tons. Now, when it first was discovered in more modern, in more recent times, in the 80s, NASA And Soviet Union went on high alert. Russia went on high alert. They were like, wait a minute. They thought we were both doing something to each other from space. And they realized...
nuke orbiting the Earth.
Right. But they said, wait a minute. We can't launch 15 tons. And they were like, well, we can't launch 15 tons. But what is this thing? So they flew by it with an STS mission, a space shuttle mission, and took high-definition photos, which are still on NASA.gov today.
Oh, you can find them online.
They're right on NASA.gov.
All right, he telling y'all where y'all can find the research at NASA.gov. These files are up there. Go take a look at it if you are interested. Let me know what you think. But it's always good to have a reference point, a good reference. Do your own research. I'm not here to make you believe nothing that you see. We just reacting for entertainment purposes only. So, check it out.
NASA labeled it space junk.
Really?
So nobody wants to touch this thing. They don't want to say what it is, but it's been there for a long time. How do we know this? First of all, Nikola Tesla claims to have received a signal from this object. This is a long time ago now. We're talking about the late 1800s.
How did he know that he was receiving signals from this thing?
First he thought it was from Mars. Then he thought it might have been from something much closer to Earth. But back then when he was getting these radio signals from space, because this thing is emitting a signal, a frequency, there was nothing else here. There was nothing, no satellites. We had no technology except for what he was making. So what was this frequency? So he then assumed it might have been coming from something much closer. Then in 1953, 2 ham radio operators picked up this same frequency, and they began to mark it down, take note of what the frequency was and the tones. They didn't know what it was either, but it was coming from outside. Then in 1960, it made Time magazine. What was interesting is in 1960, Russia and America began the space race just before that, and Russia was building Sputnik, already had one going up. So all eyes were in space around the low Earth orbit, trying to figure out how do we get something to orbit this planet. And during this process, another astrophysicist, Duncan Lunan, said this thing is real and it has a frequency coming out of it, and he deciphered the frequency and said it was leading to the Epsilon. It was saying Epsilon Boötis constellation, or Boötis constellation Epsilon, which is pretty interesting. Fast forward again, an NSA document gets released and declassified talking about the fact that how to communicate with ET, and it talks about these frequencies coming from space, and it says Boötis constellation, Boötis Epsilon. So I started looking up. There's a constellation called the Boötis constellation, and in this constellation, there's the largest void that we know of. A void meaning not even space dust is in this area. It goes on for light years. So I'm looking at that now. I go, how in the world can there be nothing in this space?
There's like dark matter, or
just nothing.
Not even dark matter.
Michio Kaku hypothesized that it might be an advanced cloaked civilization. I said, what? So now I start digging deeper. I go, wait a minute. I look into ancient texts. Now I'm like, this got to be something here. I said, who owns the Boötis? And it says Enlil, and Wikipedia of all places, which they can't stand to put anything out that gives you any inkling of real knowledge. Everything is pseudoscience. Right. But they had sources that led back to real tablets that said this, so they had to list it. The sources are on, there. So it went back to real tablets. So the Boötis constellation and Epsilon is attributed to the ownership of Enlil. When you look at these tablets, well, that didn't surprise me, because these people, these Anunnaki people, they own planets, they own moons and everything. He owns the constellation. And so, or maybe he rules over it in some weird way. So I said, this is crazy. So when you start analyzing, okay, let me go back. Ancient texts are saying war, they left, they fled. Would they have possibly dropped a probe in orbit to watch us and monitor us and transmit back to them what's going on here since they left? This thing was in a polar orbit. We couldn't do a polar orbit at the time this was discovered, in a polar orbit in 1960. We couldn't do a polar orbit.
Yeah, all the satellites orbited the equator.
That's right. And a polar orbit, what does it give you? It gives you the ability to see everything going on the planet, because as you orbit around the planet polar, pole to pole, and the planet rotates on its axis, you can take swaths of data from the planet, topographical data, resource data, human population data, everything, and then you can put it into a computer and you can see exactly what's going on. Enlil had something called an all-seeing eye, where he knew everything going on the planet at one time. And I'm saying that only way you can do it was with a polar orbiting satellite. That's the only way you can actually do that. It all started to make sense to me. So it became a big hypothesis. So I started researching it deeper, and then I got some experts together, and that's why I made the Black Knight Satellite documentary. I believe that this thing is transmitting information back to Boetis via quantum entanglement communication. Because Boetis is light years away, so that means it would take a long time at the speed of light. However, if you quantum entangle with a communications device back at Boetis, you can transmit the information instantaneously. And the reason why I believe they won't touch this thing is because what if it has a self-destruct mechanism or some type of a defense mechanism that we don't know of? We don't want to activate it. We don't want to touch it. What if it says, hey, they're messing with me, and all of a sudden here comes the cavalry? So they just leave it alone. Don't touch it. It ain't doing nothing to us. We ain't doing nothing to it. But interestingly, the location of Boetis from that frequency is the location it was in the sky due to the precession of the equinoxes 13,000 to 14,000 years ago or so. So this thing could potentially be 13 to 14,000 years old, which is right around the time of the Younger Dryas incident on Earth.
Now, we don't know, though. I mean, if we could study it with like a drone, couldn't we? Couldn't we send like some sort of other satellite that was remote controlled up there to get kind of close to it and follow it? And
I'm pretty sure you can. I mean, it depends on how close they allow you to get. They meaning, they have their own self-defense. They have that Stargate system. They can defend anything they want in space. Probably if you don't go on up your particular approved flight plan, they might just blow you out of the sky. Whatever you send up there.
Right.
They'll give you can get an approved flight path, but I doubt that you can rendezvous with this thing. People would have done it by now.
That is freaky, man.
Yeah. But it's there. It's up there, it's orbiting the planet, and it's changed course a couple times. So this thing, maybe it's got AI in it, it's intelligently controlled in some way. These people are a million years ahead of us. They're a million years ahead of us technologically. So we've got so much learning to do, and the best thing to do is just don't even touch it.
Quantum entanglement, stargates, being watched by a cloaked ancient civilization. He said a lot in that video. Shout out to Billy Carson. He does a lot of research on ancient tablets. I actually purchased the Emerald tablets about Thoth and his brother and a bunch of other stuff. But nevertheless, shout out to Billy Carson. What y'all think about that? Let's tap back in.
This is not AI, in case anybody's wondering.
What is that? Let me know what y'all think. That's something to think about. Because why are we being watched? And who are you? What are you watching us for? But why is it still unexplained? Let me know. Tap in. Y'all ever seen the movie War of the Worlds? That's what that object remind me of. Let me know what y'all think. Do y'all agree or disagree? So is this how it's done, y'all? I'm not saying this is accurate or legit footage, but I want to talk about the idea. Do y'all think we went to the moon? So I just feel like we have advanced with our technology so much. We should be going to the moon if we did it back then. Or my other theory is that maybe we truly did see some UAPs or whatever the case, some type of other species that kind of spooked us into not going back to the moon. But they say the moon is a base. That's what some people have a conspiracy about. I don't know. But let's talk about it. Why haven't we been back to the moon? Sent people back to the moon and got some updated video footage. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's tap back in.
This footage was taken aboard the ISS. The cameraman notices something down here in the corner. He starts to pan and zoom in on this object here. They're not sure what they're looking at. It's going about the same speed as the ISS. It's about the size of a bus, and they captured on camera for about 22 minutes. But what's interesting is what it does at the end. Right here you'll see they're attempting to follow it, but it starts going up and out of the view of the camera.
1989, we had cataloged 57 different species. You have individuals that look very much like you and myself that could walk among us and you wouldn't even notice the difference, except for some of the things that they might be able to go ahead, even in a dark room, and touch an object and go ahead and identify what color that object might be. They would have a heightened sense of smell, sight. The unique thing that I'd like to point out for the most part is that the entities that we did catalog.
They saying they catalog these different species. I've heard of the tall whites and the Anunnaki. Have y'all heard about these other species? But listen to what he's saying though.
In fact, humanoid. Now this created a situation where the scientific community was trying to figure out why that would be the case. Because you would expect that if life evolved on other planets, that they would take on some type of other being, so to speak. Not necessarily look humanoid or be bipedal such as we are.
Have y'all ever came into contact with any different eccentric people that could fall in these categories? If you got experience, tell me about it in the comments below.
NASA calls it space junk, but this junk has been watching us for 13,000 years. This is the Black Knight satellite, an alleged alien artifact orbiting Earth, far older than any human-made spacecraft. Its origins are a complete mystery, a dark specter in our skies. But the story just took a terrifying turn. On January 14, 2026, a strange, repeating signal was detected emanating from it. When decoded, it wasn't a message, but a map, a star map of the boat's constellation, precisely as it appeared 13 millennia ago. Who launched it, and why did it just start broadcasting now? Is this a warning, a relic from a long-lost civilization? The most chilling question remains, are we being protected, or are we being monitored for an upcoming arrival? Follow 4 more from the Shadow Archive.
What y'all think that is on the moon surface?
So the dark side is an unfriendly side, and they have wanted for many to attack this earth. They have even a satellite up in the atmosphere called the Darth Vader thing? Black Knight from Batman. And they say they don't know how many tens of thousands of years or how long that's been up there observing the earth. But they believe it to have some sort of a frequency that lowers the vibration of humanity. And as a result, with frequencies that make people to be negative, they don't rise to their reality. So we have nasheeds coming out that also will describe that Shaitan plans, and Allah's plan is always better because He wrote both of them. He wrote what they plan, and His plan is within that reality, allowing that to happen.
The most clean footage of the Black Knight satellite. This quality extraterrestrial satellite is estimated 59,057 stunning years old.
Y'all ever seen the movie Contact? Kind of put me in the mind of that too.
Let me tell you about the satellite that's leaving the galaxy. In 1977, we launched a small satellite into the void. Today, it's over 15 billion miles away. It's called Voyager 1, and it's the furthest human-made object in existence. Voyager 1 was built to study Jupiter and Saturn. That's it. But after completing its mission, it just kept going. In 2012, it crossed the edge of our solar system, the heliopause, and officially entered interstellar space. Voyager still sends weak signals back to Earth, but it takes over 22 hours to reach us. By 2025, it'll run out of power and fall silent forever. After that, it will drift through the galaxy, alone, for billions of years. Strapped to Voyager is the Golden Record, a time capsule with sounds of Earth, greetings in 55 languages, and music from across human history.
That's what I was trying to tell y'all about earlier.
It's our cosmic message in a bottle, floating through space, waiting to be found.
But this is what I'm saying. Found by who? If you saying it's nothing up there in space or whatever the case, who do they expect to find it? Let me know what y'all think.
Voyager 1 will never return, but long after Earth is gone, it will still be out there, alone in the dark, carrying the memory of who we were.
This is the only proof that someone was already orbiting Earth before the very first satellite, and it stayed hidden for 40 years. In December 1972, during the Apollo 17 mission, a live broadcast was abruptly cut for 7 minutes. NASA claimed technical issues, but a former employee later revealed a different story, along with a tape he'd secretly kept for decades. The recording shows the astronauts observing a black stationary object orbiting Earth at the same altitude as the spacecraft. One of them whispers, "That's not ours." The object seemed to emit pulses as if it were responding. The original audio was locked away, but someone had made a copy. The tape was discovered in 2015 in the basement of flight engineer Robert Langley, who had worked in mission control. NASA denied everything, but experts analyzed the signal it captured, a binary pattern, identical to the one Nikola Tesla recorded in 1899. The mission was hastily wrapped up, and the crew never spoke of it. The object vanished from radar, but not from the tape. At the end of the recording, a nearly inaudible phrase emerges from the static. Observation complete. Next cycle, 2091.
Well, that's kind of rich and pretty spectacular. God, what is that there? That's Apollo. What the hell is that? Don't tango. It's kind of light. Oh boy, it's really something that was fantastic here. You couldn't ever imagine this. Roger, we know about that. Could you go the other way? Go back the other way.
He tell them to go back the other way, and they already know about it. You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's kind of rich and pretty spectacular. God, what is that there? That's Apollo. What the hell is that?
What if I told you there's a mysterious object orbiting Earth right now? For decades, astronomers have detected a dark, unidentified satellite orbiting Earth, dubbed the Black Knight satellite. But here's the weird part. No country has claimed to have launched it, and radio signals were detected from it in the 1950s, before we even had satellites. Is the Black Knight satellite an ancient alien probe monitoring Earth, or just space junk? What do you think? Comment below, real or hoax?
Alright, y'all. If you still tapped in, thank you for watching to the end of the video. I would truly appreciate if we had some dialogue about it, because I thought this was very interesting. I didn't know too much about it, but I'm glad I put this video together. I'll see y'all on the next video.